it has been a real journey for me when it comes to the changes that have occurred. People that are core IT people that stay in the office, and we manage things to when we start working remotely. And that's the emphasis we are looking at. And in my spare time, I'm not I work no pay make jacket door boy. I do listen to gospel music, and that has been my hobby, and I do some things on Microsoft generally. So let's look at our emphasis in terms of the technology we're going to look at and how we're going to marry it with our activity today. And that's talking about our goals for this evening. So our goals is very simple. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is transformation generally. Now, the world has changed, effort, time, everything has been where it is. And we cannot change that fact that we need to look at digital transformation. And digital transformation is the first step in understanding the changes that have occurred in the technology. How do we now bring it into project management? How do we leverage on this power to ensure that we have reliable, authentic, and good way by which we take all this along. So without wasting much time, I would like to look at other things that are attached to this. And one of those things is called Azure. Azure generally is for everybody that have ever used operating system before. We know that operating system generally is a build up on every devices that makes that devices work. Now, we can also describe this in terms of the body. Everybody, I know as many of us that are seated there in their homes and wherever you are joining it from, you know that your body comprises of the physical structure we have. That's why when you get to the mortuary, you notice that people that you see that was lively before, that was happy, that was sitting, that was moving, just become immobile. And the next thing they say, they embalm them. What has happened? There is something that make them function well, and that is the spirit there. So also in devices, in computer, we have the operating system, and we also have what we refer to as the software. And for us to be able to understand the cloud technology, then we cannot erase the fact of what is the foundation of cloud technology when it comes from Microsoft offering, and that is Azure. Now, when you have built that foundation, we now move further to other offering that it gives us. And one of those offering is the M365. Now, M365 is actually a way by which you can Microsoft leverage on what we call software as an asset. Software as an asset. And that entails that we have solution like Office, solution like Power BI, solution like Power Platform. They all sit on that, and that makes it relevant to what you're doing and how you actually actualize those components. Then finally, we're going to briefly look at another very, very very known change that we know across the world, which is referred to as AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is trying to mimic what we refer to as our understanding of human endeavor, our eyes, our nose, the way we speak, the way we talk, the way we action our things. And we are now bringing computer and computing programming into it to mimic those activity and to ensure those activity are used to bring benefit to human existence. Now, we finally are going to look at mixed reality. Now, it's just like AI, but it's like capturing your existence, the way you view a landscape. and bringing it into a way by which you interact with you through devices called MR. That means all these things you see in cinemas where they say you are watching movies, and those movies are on 3D. Now, the essence of this is bring technology close, ensuring that we can interact with technology as we're interacting with ourselves. Then finally, we're going to go into question and answer. Now, with all this, I'll jump into the lesson, and I will take us down this lane to be able to understand what it takes and how we can actually leverage on cloud technology to ensure that we understand how to view it from the project point of view. Now, let's go in right away now. Now, before we start, I always make emphasis anywhere I speak, and that is talking of a very great professor. Her name is Chika Ezeani Ezobo. One time in the US, she made an emphasis. She was very realistic, and she was point blank about the way education is being rolled out, especially to Africa. Now, in her speech, she made emphasis that most time when European came to Africa, generally, it was using Nigeria as a country because she schooled in Nigeria, some parts of the East before she migrated to the US. And she made a picture and gave a descriptive analysis that because education came from the Europe. Now, the way they address objects, they brought all those objects down to Africa, and they made Africa to be able to memorize those things and adopt those things in order to formally follow the educational system. But Ezobu was saying, what if the European came to Nigeria? They know that when we call A as an alphabet, A emphasized on something like I don't know. I use my own dialects. I don't, they brought A for apple, B for ball. Now we know Boli. We know for Yoruba, we know Eba, we know something like Gari, and all those things. Now, if you look at Chinese education and the Western education, you notice that Chinese adaptation to science and technology was far reaching because their education was brought to them in a progressive, traditional, very unique way. So why I'm taking us into this A for Apple syndrome is for us to understand that the journey we're about to take, I'll try as much as possible to bring us to a perspective where we can see technology in our own unique way that is related to probably to our traditional understanding of the way we do things. I'll try my best, and if I'm going too far away and too technical, please just raise up your hand and bring me back to my senses. So before we go on, I want us to look at this. I know we have 12 of us on this call, and what is your perspective about this guy? Now, we all are sitting on our system. I know you have seen this. Where do you think this person is actually looking at? Is he looking at me? Is he looking at you? Now, if I do a rollout and I say we should do going through the internet, menti.com and the rest, most people there are 3 different answers that will come in. One of them is that the guy was actually looking at the left side. Oh, another person among 12 of us will say, no, that guy was looking at the right side. Then there are some people that they're always in the middle when it comes to adoption, technology changes. They either go left or right. Now, the question now is that your perception at this point, it's not lower grade than any other person, but the ability to adopt technology and take it as a means of change is what matters. Now, I'll give you another picture now. Now, look at this picture here. This, if I ask now I'm going to ask you, maybe on the chat, just tell me, this woman, what do you notice about her? Is she a young lady or an old lady? I just want to hear your feedback. I'll check the chats. Instead of us using our internet to go online to do all this, let's just see your view. Just put your view on the chat. Is she a young lady or an old lady? I'm waiting. Up. Are you guys? Okay, I can't even say. Okay, good, Benga. Oh, Charity, you are very precise. She's old. Good. Any other person? Any other person? I know we are about 12 of us there, 13 now. Please, let's hear your feedback. Okay. Oluyomi, you said she's an old lady. Fine. Okay, we have two people saying it's an old lady now. Let's hear more. Let's have two or more people, and we'll move on with the introduction. Two more people to get on the chat and tell us, is this lady an old lady or a young lady? I want two more people. We're waiting. Two more people. People, let's get on this and say something so that I will not be the only one talking here. Let's hear your view. Queen, you are there. Can we have your view? Is she an old lady or a young lady? Sorry on spot because I'm not getting response from you. We have Margaret. Is a young lady or old lady? What do you feel? We have Joseph too. Joseph, what do you feel? Is this person young or old? Wow. Joseph, Margaret, are you on the call? Oh, yeah, Joseph has answered. Now, that is the icebreaker. Joseph said for him is in 20s. Now, the question here is, if we look at it critically, we are all right in our own form, in our own understanding. But one thing about technology is one thing about technology generally is what you look at with your eyes, your interpretation comes from the mind. Now, you can see this image. Now, I can say from here that probably she was wearing a wig. That means Joseph is right. Probably this is not a wig because it's more attached. You can see what was shooting out from our front hair is white. That shows that this is natural. So Oluwayomi and the rest are correct that this is an old lady. But whatever we see now is a measure of the perception we have in our mind. Now, that brings us to where technology comes to play in the digital era. Now, people experience, people perspective, our offices, we want to have better processes. We want to increase the way we do our business. As a project manager, you want to have speed in agility, making things work for you. Then you need to balance this with what we call a leverage of technology. Because whether we like it or not, people perception differs. And to convert this perception into one level and ensure that people be able to have focus, improve the way they see things, we need to leverage on technology. And leveraging on technology now brings us to what we call digital transformation. What is digital transformation generally? What have I been saying about perception, ability to understand? What is digital transformation? Now, let's just take a brief thought back. Now, I know I was born in an era where telephone has a tail. I don't know how many of us were born in that era. And those still sometimes was on the wall, and later they brought it on the table. Later they brought it as something that you can carry around with a big antenna. Now, in our age, you can see that business, technology, everything is evolving. The way we look at things is gradually changing.
Seal, could you mute
And
yourself, please? We have a noisy
that thought
background.
brings us to where
Seal, thank you.
digitalization
Could you mute
started
yourself?
way back in 1780. Sorry, are you talking to me?
No, Seal, she has a noisy background. Could you mute yourself, Seal? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So now it takes us back, way back to when digital transformation started. Now, way back to 1780. 1780 is when we started with the steam engine. And that's why technology and innovation started way back in the European country, and they were moving. Then in Europe, in UK, in America, we found that when they brought in steam engine, they started exporting coal, and business was booming in those areas. After the leverage of steam engine, another innovation came when Faraday introduced, if I'm right, introduced electricity. That is in 1870. Now, that also brought about a new change because people could do something seamlessly than when they were doing with steam engine. Afterward, they migrated to what we call electronics and IT. Now, with electronics and IT, we're able to leverage on the ability of cathode, TV, all this cathode ray, TV, and the rest. It brought about media. TV media was shooting out from different countries. Communication was faster. People were not using gong to make, in our villages in Africa, because I'll be coming like Professor Zubich said, I'll be very close to Africa than going using European terms. So in our villages, we know when they want to have a town hall, they have what we call a gong. They eat those gong and they ensure that they call people. And that's the way we have been communicating. Now, with the advent of electronics, we start bringing telephoning into it. We bring TV into it, mass media, paper, and the rest came in, and there was a lot of noise and evolution in 1969 to 1970. Then from 2015 to now, we are in the digital era. What brought about this era? Now, there was generally a convergence of three major pillars. One, need. Now, the transformation and evolution of technology and digital transformation way back when you look at when print press came in 1439, when automobile initiated in 1885, when internet, which started way back in 1980, but the emphasis and its power was grounded in 2015, 2016 by the digital power, which is the advent of data. So the need that comes from each society, each environment brought about innovation. And this innovation propel what we call progress. And those progress can see as a lineup from the automobile industry to internet in 1960 to cloud in 2000, and now to what we are now going to talk about, which is the artificial intelligence. Now, please stay with me. We are going somewhere. Now, technology is not, I told you of the lever that I gave a sample here where we have different perception, different idea about images, and everybody is right. You are all right in your own senses. But when we talk about creativity, that your perception, using it to create a change to your environment, now make technology to sit with the people. So technology is about everyone that's hearing me now. Everyone that wants to make changes in his own industry, whether you're in the media, whether you're a PA to a particular person, all you have in mind is, how do I make my work more efficient? How do I get my tasks done faster? What is the means to do this? And that brings us to a resolving circle. Now, the changing world is bringing us to a progressive dimension. One, human needs. is constantly changing. Now, in our days, I'm not too old, but in our days, we know that we are spun to getting things done sequentially. We are spun to getting things according to the rules. But with an agile environment that we have today, my 4-year-old boy took my phone and he could browse through that phone, even to YouTube, telling me this is this one. This is. I was wondering, in my age, was I able to do that? Now, the agility of human needs now is now pointing at innovation, and that's why Chesca and his team was looking at a way of empowering project managers, empowering system administrators, empowering people that are even in the admin side. How do I know the technology that is more fitting to make my work more efficient? And that brings innovation and eventually bring progress. Now, the truth is that the amplifying power is you, because you are the need. You are the one that works in that office. When they are carrying paper from one table to another, how do I automate it? By using Power Automate. You are the one that knows that every time you go out, your boss takes 3 days to approve an application that can be done in 5 minutes. You need to amplify in any angle. You can see the lady trying to amplify her thought, her perception, her changing world with what she felt is reality. And that brings us to the pillars of digital transformation on Microsoft's stand. Microsoft start its digital transformation from modern workspace down to the application, which we are going to emphasize more by what Frank I want to take you through, Power Apps, Power BI, and the rest. How to use low leverage, they call it no code, low code, to be able to address issues that are very similar to everyone and how to make it work for you. Then there's other application infrastructure, which now comes to more core IT people. Maybe you are here, you are a core IT people, you want to know how to use Azure, you want to use how to use DevOps on Azure, you want to use how to Docker, Kubernetes, and the rest. How do I apply app logic, different logic on making and backup and having disaster recovery? All these things lies on one pillar called application and infrastructure. Now, the power of data now brings us to how do I leverage data to amplify my job by using data and AI. So you can span this transformation into empowering people, especially people that work with you, making proper engagement within people, within staff, within colleagues, within collaborators, contractors, and optimizing it to make it more operationable and finally making our product to come out better. As I said, the world has changed and it is not a fantasy, it's real. So we are now in two eras. The old way, maybe the way you have been working before, the way you have been seeing how to make things work before, and the emerging new changes that are out there. And that's why you have channeled your energy to be in this kind of meeting, to be able to understand how technology can transform your business and change what you want. And that brings us to the first thing we're going to look at is why cloud. Now, a popular saying by Nelson Mandela of blessed memory. Now, he made mention of something when he was speaking in one of his speech. He said, when it comes to change for him, he just want to move into the future, just like that goldfish. He jumped with all his strength to join the others. Because when you do that, you never lose. No, either win or you only learn. And the more you win or learn, the more you embrace how changes come and the more you actualize various ways you can amplify the cloud technology. Now, cloud technology basically can make a new startup. Maybe you are looking at getting a business. You don't have to go and invest in getting a million, 100,000 servers that in next 2 years will change, because I can tell you we are now in iPhone 14, if I'm not wrong, if I'm right, or iPhone 13. That shows if you are still using iPhone 6, you are archaic, you are old-fashioned, telling us that the way technology is moving in this speed, manufacturers, people that are hardware producers are changing their production every day. There was one time we have a laptop with USB. Now USB is gradually going out. There was one time every storage is between 100 gig and above. Now they are taking that off and telling you to have the leverage of the cloud technology, where you have a remote server that can store your thing. So you can see now the route of software acquisition is changing. Now, the way we look at technology before is to keep buying and refreshing what we buy in terms of hardware. But with the new cloud technology, you can easily scale up and scale down. What does that mean? That means if I want to do anything, for example, I'm a publisher. Now, I noticed that my publishing firm only work at certain region, at certain age bracket, at certain season. Now, let me use a typical one, an umbrella industry. If I'm an industry and I want to imbibe on technology, I don't have to spend too much money between now when I have dry season. I save my money, I scale down. I just allow my application like email to be running on my servers. But when it gets to the rainy season, I up my servers, I buy more processes, I buy more RAM and ensure, and this can be done for you on a cloud technology, a cloud environment, making the cost of your infrastructure to go down and everything around you is easy. Now, before you can buy on the journey of technology, you must have certain knowledge to be able to use it. But now, what the OEM is doing, producer of cloud technology like Microsoft, like AWS, like Google, is to ensure that they take all this burden off you, off your IT, off your enterprise, and carry the burden of cooling, kind of making your server available, making your data always there and readily usable. Now, the cloud technology generally is just, can you guys hear the audio? Please confirm, can you hear it?
No.
Okay, let me just reshare it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I will just unshare
No,
and
we
try
can't
to
hear.
reshare.
You need to reshare your screen.
Yes, I will do that right away.
Okay, thank you.
And ensure I share sound. So let's take it back. Let me take it back. Okay, let's take it. What is cloud? Tell me if you can hear it.
Yes, we can hear.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, if you had to ask 10 different people the same simple question, what is the cloud? There's a good chance you would get 10 different answers. Everyone's heard of it. The majority of people use it, but how do you define it? Many people think of the cloud as a nebulous, invisible place or abstract model. But in reality, the cloud is just a type of computing where individuals and businesses rely on a third party to manage their data and computer processing via the internet. Perhaps a more practical way to think of the cloud is a utility that companies of all sizes are rapidly taking advantage of. Just as gas and electricity providers supply services to businesses and homes, public cloud providers supply secure, reliable and scalable computing from a shared data center that you simply plug into. Traditional on-premises computing is expensive and at times restrictive. You have to pay for the hardware, the software, the licensing, electricity and floor space. Not to mention the time your staff has to spend protecting and maintaining it all. Cloud computing, on the other hand, empowers companies to run faster and cheaper than ever before, simply paying for the resources they consume, when they consume them, and bursting in scale when needed. It's not just pay as you go, it's pay as you grow, and provides companies with the confidence to innovate by creating applications and services on the fly, testing new ideas and features with limited risk and minimal outlay. This is the power of the cloud. It's still servers, storage and networking, but instead of worrying about the maintenance and upkeep, customers can now spend more time innovating and creating new business opportunities. With Azure, Microsoft's cloud solution, customers can relax with the assurance that their valuable assets are protected by a global workforce serving over 140 countries and working tirelessly to ensure consistent and continued availability. What's more, with strict compliance and regulations to adhere to, you can be assured that your information is protected both in transit and at rest, never falling in the hands of unattended recipients and ensuring that you hold the keys to your kingdom. This is what drives customers to the Microsoft public cloud. And along with the advanced security systems built right into the very heart of the platform, you can breathe easy knowing that you're always running the latest security features and not left vulnerable to attack. In essence, the cloud will change the way you work, with solutions being built in hours, not days, and applications operating with greater insight, enhanced security, and global reach. Just as the power of water and steam fueled the first industrial revolution way back in the late 18th century, the cloud is now racing us towards the realization of the fourth. A time when compute, automation, IoT and data isn't just breaking innovation boundaries, but pushing us further than we ever thought possible. The question is, what will you do with
that
it?
brings us to that. What will you do with it? Now, the cloud technology, now bringing it home, is just simple. I am Sheyi now. I have a computer. I turn that computer to a server. Now, for me, at sheyi.com, I want to sell shoe. Now, how do you access me? How do you get to know? Maybe I have a platform, allow all the cobbler around Sulere to join me, bring their shoe, I display it for them. They have to communicate with me, they have to connect with my server. Now, in that process, what it means is that I am like a cloud provider. I'm giving service to all the cobblers. And how are they connecting to me is through internet. So cloud technology is not really a myth as people feel it is. It's just a metaphor that emphasizes that a desktop, a computer is being used to serve others. And the way you can access it is through internet. Now, although there's so many limitations that has come over time, especially when it comes to our part of the world, there are so many limitations like security. People are biased. They said, cloud technology, are you sure their data is secure? I can tell you the security on Microsoft Cloud is very huge. They spend millions of dollars engaging with artificial intelligence, human professionals, hackers, which they employ to be able to guide and manage those data. Whether your data is going from one point to another, it is it's secured and more secured even when it's staying on its own. So in terms of coverage, the coverage of cloud technology tells us that I can go anywhere and still attend to my application. I can still do what I'm doing just as I'm in the office. And you can know COVID-19 brought that out very, very clearly, that we can actually work from home and do the same things we are doing from the office. And also in terms of connectivity, bandwidth, which is one of the challenges that we always have. Now, one major one for us, especially if you are part of the people that work in the government offices that have regulations, most times there is what we call data policy, resident approach to data sovereignty. So most time government make very firm rule against onboarding their data to anything outside their country. Now, with that, Microsoft has imbibed with policies, compliance company and compliance policies across the world to look at each of your country. And there's some country that this is so rigid, like China, like Germany. What Microsoft did is to imbibe with a local industry that also give the same service, following Microsoft regulation, but doing it as a local person to the local people. Now, So what it means is that there is no limitation in cloud. It's just a metaphor that people are scared of. So what does that mean? What are the benefits? It can save you a lot of money. Instead of buying machines and the rest, you can actually just subscribe and have your service on within 15 minutes. It's very agile. And I know that so many project managers here, you need agility, things that can make things work for you. And instead of spending a circle of time, you say less half of those circle, ensure that those things that you want to make happen is flexible, and every data has a control. You own it. Microsoft, because you sign an agreement once you are boarding your application on Microsoft server or Microsoft cloud, you have to sign an agreement that if Microsoft divulge your data outside the confine of your environment, then they can be sued. And when they are sued, you can collect your money. You can sue them for damages. So that brings us to the next thing we're going to look at. Now, there are so many models, and this is where I want us to pay attention to. Now, in terms of cloud model, we have about 4 different models. Now, the first model is what we know, the traditional one, which is referred to as on-prem or private cloud. Now, on-prem is if you have been used to companies that have server rooms. What is a server room? Server room is where an IT professional is employed to stay and manage a certain server. Those servers can be for sharing files within the company. Those servers might be for email. Those servers might be for communication. Now, once it's there, it maintains the application, the data, the malware, the OS, down to the networking. Everything will be managed by that company. It is referred to as on-prem or private cloud. Now, there are other models that has come in when cloud technology was introduced. And that other one is the infrastructure as a service. Now, infrastructure as a service is a phenomenon where there is what we call a mixed responsibility. A mixed responsibility between Microsoft and you. Now, you don't want to give Microsoft your data. You want to own your data. Just say, Microsoft, give me the server, give me a virtual environment. I bring my application, I bring my data, I install the OS I want. All you need to give me is cooling, storage, and a place where I can have virtual environments. Now, at that point, there's an handshake between you and your producer. Now, a typical example is when you, nowadays, there's a lot of things that is happening, especially in the kitchen. Now, because of the modern day women, and which is very nice, and most of them spend a lot of time in the office. They might not have the time to do some basic thing when it comes to food. Now, what they do now is that there are people now that they help them to cook this stew. They cook the stew, they send it to them. Now, what they do now, because those ones are infrastructure as a service. Once you get those kind of stew, you take it home, put it in the fridge, because you have to house the fridge. You put all those, they help you to store all those things until you come and pick it. And when you pick it, you serve it on your table, bring water to your husband or to your kids, and they eat. At that time, you can see the service have been shared between you and the producer, like the soup producer. Now, platform as a service. Now, platform as a service now go a little deeper. Now, the responsibility goes more on the producer. Now, not only do they cook for you. Now, in terms of feeding and food now, not only do you have someone that cooks stew for you, there are sometimes those particular caterer, they come to your residence. They help you to serve your food because you are not around. They do all those things. All you need to do is that you come, bring your children on the table, put the mat there, put the plates there, and they serve you. And that is where you just bring your application and your data, which is yours. When it comes to cooling, your operating system, everything is installed for you by Microsoft. Now, the last type of model is software as a service. Now, software as a service is where we're going to play along with Franca in this 3 days camp, where we are going to look at solutions like M365, like Power Platform, like Power Apps, things that runs on their own without you actually putting any effort. Now, a typical example is when, I don't know how many of you have worked in Ireland, Marina precisely. Now, I worked some years in Marina, it's in Stock Exchange building. And in those years, there's something that is peculiar when it comes to me eating out. Now, I was still a bachelor then. And what I noticed is that I go to, we don't call it, they are funkified it now to call it.
I'm sorry, Shay, you remember this is an international, yeah. Some people are from Zambia here, some from Kenya, so a lot of them
but
don't know
I'm bringing it home.
Okay,
I'm bringing to my home.
All right, but okay,
Africa.
so you break
I don't
it
want
down.
to use A for apple, B for ball.
Okay.
I'm breaking it down.
All right then.
Yeah. So I will not use more of Nigerian terms. I'll use more of I'll try to bring it up a little bit. And in Marina, there is places where you get food from the local vendors. Now, I'll give you a picture of what happened there, and that's what software as a service looks like. Now, software as a service is that I walk into any restaurant, I sit down, I call the waiter. Now, waiter, please. The first thing the waiter gets you is water, wine, drink, put it on your table, and tell you what you want for. You order your food. After eating, you wash your hand, and the only business we have with that local food vendor or local cafeteria or any international food mart is to pay your bill. And once you pay your bill, you can walk in anytime and eat as much as you want. So software as a service is saying, I leverage all this problem of trying to meet my server, meet the uptime to the vendor, Microsoft. Do everything you want to do. All I need is to get my service on, my email to be running, my team to be working, my planner to be working, my Power BI to be able to analyze my files and the rest, my document. And that is where we're going to play with through these 3 days. We're going to look at the model that Azure has, which is called software as a service. Now, the model across software as a service, which is more for end users, we can say for application developers, we can use more of PaaS, which is platform as a service, but for people that build infrastructure, people that want to leverage on the technology, they go on to the infrastructure as a service. Now, in a funny way, like a pizza sale, when you have your pizza yourself, is homemade, or you make your food, whether it's Stephanie, I don't know what they eat in Zambia. I know in Ghana, they do AK and the rest, but whatever you are cooking that is unique to your environment, you cook it yourself. And that is a traditional private model, which is the on-prem or private cloud. Then when you move ahead, if you are the one, you allow those food stuff to be done for you and brought to you. You can see from the pizza down tomato sauce, topping, and cheese. Actually, it's done by your manufacturer. You just come and take it home. But if you want them to deliver to you, you need to get the pizza. They knock at your door. They bring the pizza, the food, the amala, the kenke, any form of African delicacy you have ordered for. They bring it in. You serve it on the table, you drink. And the final one is that you're out on a date, you are out somewhere, you walk into the restaurant, you pay for it. And that is the way we can actually describe it. But the involvement of cloud technology is now splitting into two major things, as I said, the private cloud, which is what you manage yourself, and the public cloud, which is where everybody pay for and they have access to the cloud. Now, there's another phenomenon that has started coming in, which is called an hybrid cloud. Now, what's an hybrid cloud? An hybrid cloud is a facility within the cloud offering where I have my private cloud. I don't want to, for example, I have a line application we are using for 20 years, and I'm not confident to bring those data to the cloud. I say, okay, I still want to have my email that anybody can access it. I want to have my document stored somewhere. I want to have other service like that, but I want to keep my line of application on-prem and manage myself. Then I do what we call an hybrid, integrating the two. Now, I use this as an example. I'm an ice cream person. I like ice cream. So I like ice cream. Now, what matters to me is when you mix the flavor. I don't know whether you are like me. Whenever I go to an ice cream store, what I'm looking out for is an ice cream like vanilla. And when I mix it with strawberry, now the two, if you notice the way it tastes, and that's the way an hybrid is. My conventional way with my new technology, bringing it together, the flavor it gives you is comfort. So we can see now we have seen the cloud technology. Now let's now look at what it entails. Is a look at Microsoft Azure. Now, all these things I said earlier are things that is in Microsoft Azure or any cloud operators out there. Now, the uniqueness of Microsoft Azure, they started late in the cloud technology. After they came in, they became the second largest provider. And today we have 65 or more. Please, a disclaimer, what I'm showing here might have changed because cloud technology, I can tell you, is fast changing every day, every time. So I cannot tell you precisely that what I'm saying now is going to change in 1 week. It might and it can. So anything I say here, most time what I do after my study or when you go outside there, read new publication, they might have changed several things. So as of this time of my writing this, Azure has 65 Azure region, and we have in Africa 2 in South Africa. Now, making us to have huge impact. Now, the momentum across all these services in terms of IaaS and PaaS, we notice Microsoft is more, but in terms of general cloud offering, Amazon is top while Microsoft is second. And we can also see that with Microsoft Azure, it can act for you as your server. I want to have a server. I don't need to go and meet Dell, buy a big server, ship it from US. That has gone. I can just walk up to Microsoft and tell Microsoft, please, I need a server, put it in your server center, and I'll pay for it. I don't want to know about cooling, whether NEPA or PSN is taking light. I don't want to know what is happening with my cooling system. What is important to me is to be able to have access to this information. And I have my server. It can act as a disaster recovery. That means if anything happens, for example, there's a fire outbreak in the whole Abuja, in the whole Zambia, or somewhere in precisely where your technology or your server is, you'll be able to leverage on the server technology, the Azure technology, to keep those things without losing any of your data. You can back up your server. It can also be used for websites. You want to have website because I know Franca and his team will take you through this dive where you can create what we call a web page, a website within 5 minutes on Microsoft platform. You can easily have that, test, and also store. So all these things now are all what is emphasized as the Azure region. And the way Azure is built on a zone perspective. What it means is that each of the zone has 2 peer. The essence of 2 peer is that to ensure that if one service go down, the other service can come up. So, and they are distance to them, they are proxy to themselves and distance. And you can also ship, if you have a strong internet, you can actually have your connection via each zone across the world. Now we have the zone, we have the region, and we have each of these services that is classified to each region. Now, that means that there are some regions, because of the proxy to those data and the efficiency that is required, might have some services, where some might not have, because they might be too far, and you need to have services across those offerings and those workloads. Now, I told you about government policies. Now, Microsoft did what we call a special region, Azure region for certain people is increasing. I know from the time of this write-up, there's one for Germany, there's one for China, and there's one for a state in US called Virginia and Oklahoma. And all these ones are states and countries that said, we have policies. We can't take our data out of our region. What you can do for us is to bring your server, work with one of our data center here, private data center, have a collaboration with them, and we can work with them. Maybe because of language, because of the uniqueness of that environment is done. As I said, Azure is per region. Each region have two so that it can bring efficiency. So now for every Microsoft offering, whether M365, Power Platform, the primary driver for making it work is Azure. Just as I mentioned when I started, that Azure is just like your operating system, Windows 10 on your desktop, on your Dell system, on your HP system, on your Lenovo system. What it means is that what can power those systems to work efficiently is by using the operating system. For the cloud technology, from Microsoft standpoint, Azure is a bedrock that runs across each platform, whether it's infrastructure, security, computing, or data environment. Now, it has services across app, data, and also infrastructure. Now, saying that, there is a portal that actually you can use. I'll just quickly take you there, an overview of it. And the overview of it tells us how you can actually use Azure. I'll just show you a preview, how it looks like. And we just, so how do you get into Azure? Now, for you to get into Azure, you must have an account, a subscription. It's very, very, because it is a pay service, as I said earlier. Now, for you to walk into a restaurant, you must have your card. And most time they ask you for your credit card, your number, you pay. But for you to test it, there's what we call an $100 free Microsoft give everyone that want to test the cloud platform. After 30 days, they start charging you. So what you need to do is to use your card. They will not charge your card. And sometimes if you are working somewhere, you can go to what we call Azure Pass, especially want to use it for learning. So this is my account. I already have an account. I'll log into it. Come on. Now, once I log into that platform, I'll be able to get into my Azure. Now, this is the way an Azure platform looks like. Now, you can see various things I can do here. I'll just take you briefly to some navigation. You can see here, you can actually see all the application, the overview of the application. You can see the search bar here. If I want to be precise on where I want to go, I can actually go here and search for anything. If I want to do backup, if I want to monitor, if I want to check my security, if I want to buy things in Azure Marketplace. For example, there are so many people that have done some application that you might be relevant to your environment. You just have to go to that search bar, you search it. And you can also filter by adding, by going to different category. Now you can see category called general, where we have general offering that in terms of explorer, resource group, and the rest. We have the compute, where you want to buy server, virtual machine, function app. You can see all that. Then if you want to change your networking sequence within your cloud environment, you can see several application gateway, NAT gateway, private link. You want to DDoS protection plan. All this now works within the network. So when you can see different categories. So I can actually search for it, filter it, or go to my category. As I said, for you to have access to Azure, you must have an account. Another way is through what we call a code. For us that are prone to technology and you have been used to using code, you can actually use what we call an interface, which is just like the code, your command prompt that you have on your computer to be able to access Azure. So I'll minimize that. We'll go back to our environment just because of our time. We're going to, I said, Azure can be managed by using Portal, by using PowerShell, and by using client library, which I just showed you there. This is a Portal I just earlier showed you. This is the PowerShell. I was saying you can use PowerShell on your system and run your cloud offering and run some code on it. And all this will ensure this is how the code look like. You put your command, the same thing you are going to do using the graphic interface, you can actually use it using the PowerShell. The third way is to use the interface that here. Now let's look at some main services that we have on Azure. Basically, we have the directory system. What is directory? Now, I can use an example of catalog. Now, if you are used to those days when telephone just came in, it comes with a green big book, or probably in your environment, there is a yellow book that gives you directory of every individual, every complaint. Now, what it means is that for me to search for somebody, I can just go to the directory. I get the name of the person, the area, and I'll be able to search. And that's what the Google is doing or being now. So also in Azure, the main thing is to be able to capture every object that runs there, like users, like computers, like services. So the Azure Active Directory stands as a main box that protects and identifies people. Then we have other services like virtual network, virtual machine is more of mimic your physical server, making it into which through a software into a virtual server. And that's why we have increase in usage and performance, because we can easily do it now. Then we have storage. You can also run database on Azure. You can run app services, and you can run any cloud service on Azure. So now looking at that, there are several resources that we can get after that. Now, for you to have more knowledge, you can contact Franca. If you want to know more about Azure, Franca will be able to place you on a good direction. So let's look at another offering, which is critical to this course, and that is the M365. The M365. M365 is Microsoft 365. It started with what we call Office 365. Now, it's an embodiment of the software as a service. Now, M365 is a way by which we can collaborate. Now, collaborate with everything we need, ensuring that we can get it in one go. Microsoft have over 60 apps on M365, 60 apps. So if you are just used to Word, and Microsoft Word is just an Office app, we are talking of Microsoft Teams, Microsoft SharePoint, Exchange Server, we have Planner, we have Viva, a lot of this application. Now, the essence of it is to bring a better teamwork. Now, with the change that is happening in the world, you have somewhere, we have more people that are more mobile than stay in the office. So you need to build an environment where you can have mobile people can easily work and support themselves. Now, not only your staff, you also cater for people that are external, to collaborate with them. You need to work with them. And while you are working with them, you must look at what we call security. And M365 help productivity and teamwork, cementing security that can prevent people from having access to your critical data. And that is an advantage with M365. The adaptation has been very high because it also ensures you have real-time teamwork. So over the year, you can see the growth from 2021 to 60%. When you talk of mobile people, people that are saying, I want to work from home, or I'm leaving the office by 3 p.m., I'm working in Lekki, but I still want to do my work. I can do it in the car. I can do it in the cafe. I ensure that my app is built, my Exchange server, my team, my SharePoint, I can approve anything. And you can see by the way it goes, by research done in 2019, you notice that the average global workforce is saying, I want to work from home. And it has become a term, a principle, even in our today's world, that people now, especially I see they want to walk home. They want to have that choice to have a work-life balance. Now, so many startups has come up within the last 5 years. People that don't have money to buy get an office, running their business even at home because the infrastructure is there in the cloud on M365. So we can say, because of several changes in terms of resources, how can I get for you to have an office in Nigeria? You must have a place, pay money for that, get a power, an alternative power, not from the government power. You must ensure that you have all those things. And there's so many disparity in terms of issues like cracks, like things that come from security. Now, you need a platform that can help you prevent disjointed collaboration and file sharing, ensure that mobility can be encouraged at any time so that efficiency can continue. And all these things fall on what you can do with M365. And one of the platforms that is integrated with M365 we are going to look at is Power Platform. It allows you to have real-time collaboration on documents, whether on your phone, your iPad, or any form of devices you are using. It ensures ability for you to work anywhere. You can share your project file and ensure acceleration of approval using this app when you work with your project solution. Now, meeting can be seamless. All you need to create a meeting link as we are doing now. I'm in Sulere. I don't know where you are coming from. Some of us are from Zambia, some of us are outside the country, but we are communicating. We are able to exchange our ideas just because we have a platform. So the wall that is always preventing us in those days, for you to have access to this kind of platform, I must create a VPN. I must allow a public IP. All these things have been taken away, and the provider is doing it. All you need is just roll out your solution and it's working. So your customer response now will be very fast because you always be on top of your game. You can work anywhere in collaboration in real time, and it doesn't give you stress. Now, most time, you're convenient, especially when you use mobile devices, is look at whether in the coffee shop, anywhere, you just ensure that you have access to the reality that comes by time and by change. Now, you must not panic, because with M365, there is what we call a control of devices, actualizing your security from your data, from your server, down to your operation, and down to distribution of those data across any devices. Your policies can follow it and prevent unauthorized attack across board. So for project managers, we know that the music of today is remote work, completing your job, even as a project manager. I don't have to be physically there. How do you maintain this? The M365 platform can give you access to real-time collaboration, real-time communication. You can connect with each other on any devices, and you can even co-author on some devices. So I also try to show you how the M365 environment look like briefly. Also the same method, here. For you to be able to get into here, you must also have, it is a software as a service, you must also have credentials to be able to go in. So I'll go into my office, put my password. Sorry, I can't show you my password. I have to mask it. It's not for everybody to see. Hope you forgive me. So once I log in, it takes me to the platform. Now, under M365, you will see the application. Wow, taking me back here. Sign in. You have to sign that one out because I signed on Azure the other time with my other account. So now on the app launcher here, you see all the application you can run on. You have Microsoft Outlook. Outlook is where you can have your email. Now, email can be gotten from M365. Once you subscribe to it, there are different versions of M365. And now, the first version, which is the cheapest, is where you have everything online. your application, Word, PowerPoint, everything you do it online. It's very cheap, so about $6. Then the others are when you want to download the same app. All of us are used to Office app that we download and install on system. You want to download it with the latest version, latest innovation, anything they do online. You don't need to pay for another version. It is automatically updated on your laptop. So you can actually have those pricing lists when you go to Microsoft M365 pricing list. So let's just concentrate on all the apps. Let's look at all the apps. I told you there are various apps that we have. You can see there's what we call booking, calendar, the Diva, Excel, Form. Form is more like creating questionnaire. Excel for calculation. Kaizella is the same thing that we have with WhatsApp. Now we have lists where it's a simple way where you can have your document management simplified into simple application that runs online. Then you have OneDrive, which is the storage. By default, everyone that have M365 want 1 terabyte of storage out there for you. Then you have OneNote, like your notebook. You have Outlook, which I said before, for making sure that you have interaction with your email, with your client, to be able to correspond by exchanging what we call mail. Now we have people where it connect everybody in your office and you can easily collaborate. You have Planner. Now Planner is just a mimic or a mini project management solution, but its emphasis is to be able to write on tasks, ensuring tasks is being able to work and track people on what they do. Now we have other applications, which is going to be our emphasis in the next few months, next few days rather. Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. Now all these are the Power Platform. There are others that have joined called Power Pages and Virtual Agent. All these things ensure that you can create application, you can analyze your data and ensure you have good result. You have PowerPoint for presentation, project. This is a Microsoft project for emphasizing on project. You have SharePoint for sharing your data. Stream is the same thing like your YouTube. This is where you create Microsoft M365, store all the videos that you have, the install, the one you work on, the one on Teams come here. Sway is a way by which it brings memory, pictures, joining it with characters and time. Then the others are can you hear me? Seems my sharing change it. Why?
Yes, we
Share
can
it
hear
back.
you.
Okay, please tell me when my time is up.
Okay.
Okay, so I stop at SharePoint. SharePoint is where you have document management. You want to manage document together. Teams is where you can collaborate with each other, and you have other like to do visual. Vaviva. Vaviva is a connector, trying to bring every information that you have and collating it into your email. Then you have whiteboard for writing things. You have Word, which you are used. Yammer is for something like you have like Facebook. Now bringing Facebook into the office. So there are other ones that you can see. So these are the ones that are actually the favorite one. That's the favorable one that you have. So we're going to look at one here, which I'm going to use for emphasis to Microsoft Teams. Now, Microsoft Teams is a solution for collaboration. It helps you to communicate. It helps you to actualize how you want to talk with people, sharing documents, sharing events, and having meetings at the same time. You can have it on Microsoft Teams. So once you load it, you can have it in 2 versions. Like the one I'm using is the web version. You can also download it and install it on your system. You can see when you look at the environment of Microsoft Teams, now you can see it as the chat button. Once you come in, the chat is where you have information within yourself and someone. And because it keeps those information, it doesn't cheat. So there is persistent information. So anytime I come, I can actually go back to that particular information and read it. Now, the activity that ever happened within the circle of use and timing, it brings it here for you to see. Then you have the teams. Now, teams is where you have different projects, you know, because you are project managers or you work with a particular company. It is essential that you work within some little framework of people. Now, looking at that, it is required for you to build up your conversation, build up your information transmission within that certain category of people. So you can create what we call a team, whether for projects, for department, and the rest. And you can see an example of the team created here: Abuja, Port Harcourt, Benin, Lagos, Chicago. All these are teams created that we are using to collaborate together. Now, apart from that, you can have calendar. Calendar is where you can create meetings, and there are different type of meeting you can create. You can schedule a meeting, which is normal meeting, like what you are using in Zoom. You can use webinar. Webinar is like you are broadcasting and you are trying to go to people will not be able to communicate with you. They have to write in questions. Also with live event, but the limitation, the difference between these two is that this one is limited to a certain number. This one can take more people, like 10,000 people. Now, let's just minimize this and go back to the last thing we're going to look at is AI. What is AI? Now, AI is just a form of what you hear here in this video.
Today, right now, you have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Think about that. That's what technology really is. It's possibility, it's adaptability, it's capability. But in the end, it's only a tool. What's a hammer without a person who swings it? It's not about what technology can do, it's about what you can do with it. You're the voice, and it's the microphone. When you're the artist, it's the paintbrush. We are living in the future we always dreamed of. We have mixed reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question: what will you do with it?
So now, looking at that, it brings me to a particular animal called the frog. Now, frog intelligence, if you have studied most of this frog, you notice that it has some intelligence that run across all the framework of his body, from the eyes to the nose to the skin. That most time, when a frog is within a particular environment, it can easily change to that environment. When it sees his vision is so clear that it can see above water, and he has a sticky finger. Now, all this now shows us how the people that bring the obvious question to us about AI. AI, what are they trying to say? AI is like looking at program that behaves like human externally. They are saying, those are the obvious questions that we can see in a frog. How does he do it? How does he adapt? These are programs that help you to operate internally as if you are a woman. For example, we can see our phones now. We talk to the phone to navigate through our apps. We are talking of computing power that ensure a behavioral way that is mimicking a human, like what we see in robots. And sometimes rational behavior. Have you gone to Juma recently? If you have noticed them now, anytime you buy any product from Jumia or Amazon, you notice the next call you come there, they look at your behavior in terms of buying behavior for over a few days, and they begin to prefer, oh, you bought a shoe that is red. We have a socks that is blue. The essence of that is bringing the obvious question of a frog. Now, there was a guy called Alan Turing. Now, in his own analysis, he was baffled and was saying, how do we make human to be? Human are intelligent, obviously, because in all the animal kingdom, when we read about creation, human was one factor that was created above every other animal that is more intelligent than monkey. I think monkey is more intelligent than monkey, and elephant are more intelligent than lion. The dullest among them is a sheep. You just go wherever the leader goes. So you can see that each of these animals have their uniqueness, but the intelligence they have cannot measure to human. So it brought Allen to a point. Okay, if that is the point, how can I make my computing, my algorithm, to be able to work as a human and begin to tune his knowledge as you keep doing it. If you are conversant to some bot that came out. I'm looking at Nigeria for an example. There was a bot that came out from a bank called UBA called Leo. The day Leo first came out, if you use it earlier days, it was very, very dumb. But Leo today, the app, the bot, the chatbot created by that bank is very intelligent. It takes picture, it ensures what information you need, it dives into, what has happened to him. By tuning it, ensuring you are tuning it to the right model, to the right data, the intelligence is. And that brings to what Azure AI is about. The Azure AI is an embodiment of bringing application, which you are going to see in some of the Power Platform offering called virtual agents, where you run application that can give you what we call boss services, that bringing up a chat, an interface that can mimic what a customer service man or woman can do. Then we have the cognitive service, being able to recognize color. You walk through a particular drive and they picture your plate drive, and the next thing they bring out your name, your car color, and where it is. All these are cognitive service. You now go across to another pillar. How do I build knowledge? How do I continue to search for knowledge and intuitively ensuring that this knowledge can easily be used? Then it comes to how do I do it? By creating model called machine learning. And machine learning on Microsoft environment are done in a platform as a service called Machine Learning Studio, where you don't need to run Python, run all those code. You just use it and it's drag and drop. So all this now ensure AI in Microsoft building is actually customize this model by creating what we call feedback, using model, using data. And all these things cannot be done except from what I started with digitalization, the journey of digitalization from radio, print, word of mouth, where awareness is taken back to what we have on website, what we have in our blog, to the community, and to retention, and now to advocacy, which now make the inflow of data to be massive across every sector. Now, in the past, the emphasis has been on structured data. But in reality, in our today world, in the changing world, we have so many unstructured data that can catapult our intelligence to a quotient of 10 times what we have. Now, what do I mean? We are talking of someone like Facebook that come from nowhere, an agile entrepreneur that came into the field and beat anybody and became one of the richest men. We are talking of Netflix that instrumentation was able to change the way cinema films are. It brought everything into a package where you can, at home, instead of paying money, taking ties to your theater, you can actually have television that are smart, that you can watch it as if you're in cinema. Now, combining this bring us into knowledge of the inflow on data from our smart TV, smart refrigerator, our cars that are more intelligent, our industrial devices that have become very intelligent, that data can flow in and flow out. Now, making us to see the inflow of data and the prediction by 2020, as of this time this was done, was at 5 terabyte plus. Now, the changing world now ensure that in this digital era, we are able to help transform certain aspects of our life, like in agriculture. I'm just going to mention few, like in marketing and health. Now, AI also can help you in classification, making it easy to search, ensuring that you can classify things that are not, that your eyes can not easily remember. You can also do what we call a transcription of your file from audio to video, where as you are playing, there was one time I was privileged, I was in Dubai and I was speaking on Microsoft Stream. Now, I did something very unique. I brought an African song and I used Microsoft Stream. And as the beat, you know, the African rhythm, it's from the western part of Nigeria. They call it the Yoruba, they call it, is an analogy where they praise people in Yoruba, in my local dialect. And as that is done for one of the character there, the transcription was able to get the one that are mimic to it in English. I was transcribing it. So what it did to my presentation, people were able to see what that character was saying, which was a foreign language, and bringing it close. And the technologies is still involving healthcare, where we have virtual assistant that can talk to you, ask you about your, when during COVID-19, a lot of chatbot was created that was asking people about their symptoms, what was happening to them, refine to them what they need to do. They automate the process to ensure that healthcare, in agriculture, storing your food stuff, ensuring you understand the temperature. When you are moving it also, ensure that it's being tracked and you are able to know the deposit time for change and for maintenance. Also in monitoring your crops, in modernizing and changing things across everything you do, from water supply, from pest control, from plant health monitor. All this can be done using artificial intelligence because we are able, just like Tonin said, to tune and mimic human intelligence using computer. Finally, the ability to work remotely in a mechanized agriculture environment, understanding what is happening to the temperature of your agri products, knowing what kind of crop you can plant, a certain model, a certain time, and conditioning it to ensure that you can have it. So AI generally automates your environment, create what we call things that are stressless, like driverless cars, like understanding language, like robotics, like monitoring, which one of them we are going to look is the Power BI, which is going to help you to see the power of using artificial intelligence embodied into a data analytics tool to ensure you can make an informed decision. Now, finally, we're going to look at mixed reality. Now, mixed reality generally is building images using solutions, using virtual solution to be able to capture human reasoning. And for example, I want to build a particular industry. Before I build it, I create a mixed reality of what I want to do. I use that to model it and now bring that model into the practical build. It ensures that it's shortening my time of onboarding those things and making it into reality. So I give room. If there's any question, please, it's time for question and answer. I'm readily available to answer any. You can just raise up your hand or mute your mic and ask your question.
Wow. Thank you very much, Sheyi. Yes, question time. Any questions? You could either unmute and ask your question, or you could type your question on the chat. I'll read it out. Whatever you prefer. So you could ask him, he's talked so much about Azure. Hello. He talked about, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. Sheyi has talked so much about cloud computing, Microsoft Azure. He talked about M365, artificial intelligence, and mixed reality. So, any questions? No, nobody has any questions.
Maybe I'm talking to.
Sorry?
I talk too much jargons.
No, no. This is the
whenever
future.
you are training,
Yeah.
whenever you are training and you ask people for questions,
Yeah.
and there is no answer, there are two things that has happened. Either you have done a very bad job, or you have done a good job, but people are still trying to rationalize what you are saying.
Yes. So any question, is there any area that is not clear to you? You want Sheyi to throw more light on? Question time.
Although it will become more real,
Yeah.
when we start looking at those applications, start running it on Azure, and using it to build application, build dashboard, become more realistic.
Yes.
So if you have any question, please ask them.
Yeah, so he's giving us an overview. So, okay, there's a question. Seal says, how much does it cost to renew Azure portal subscription, and for how long?
Okay.
Now, you want to take that?
The way the portal, yeah, I'll send the question. The way the portal is being built as you go, as you use. So for example, if I put in $100 now as my subscription, now what it means is that every service I'm going to use on Azure must be within that range. I can subscribe today, and if I go and get a server that is 120 USD and I run that server on Azure, that my $100 will become zero. I can also have an $100 and only run services that are like $5. And I only do it whenever I want to run an application. So what I have now is $5 minus $100 I have. And if I have it for so long, it'll still be there until I use it. If it's just pay as you want, you go, as you use. So it's not determined by, it's determined by the service you are using. And the how long now is a factor of you. What are you running? What are you not running there? I hope I've been able to answer you, Seal. Good one. Can I use Azure for deployment of Mac computer? Yes, just like since it's a single sign-on platform. Well, deploying Mac, except you use some tools that has there's some tools that you can use that has, we call it Intune, that can be used for deploying applications. So it allows when you say if you are talking of using Mac to be able to run Azure as an interface, is possible because it's just a web interface you are using to talk to Azure. But deployment can be any form. Are you saying you want to use to deploy Azure as using Azure to deploy your Mac environments? Or you want to use Azure to monitor your Mac devices? So all those are questions that can come with that to make correct Mac environment. Okay, correct Mac environment. I know you can use it efficiently with Microsoft system. Correcting that, I'm not sure how far you want to go with that, but Mac can be used with Azure, but on using it as a tool because for DevOps people now, you can use Mac to develop your application, even via Azure, running it to Visual Studio and Co. using Mac. So those are some applications that runs on Azure can be used. So deploying it also can be done, but it depends on the level at which you want to go in using Azure to use Mac. But most time, it's advisable to use application with the OEM application. But Microsoft is trying to play along every other multiple application to ensure that they can run properly. If I've not answered you, maybe we can discuss with Franca, then we can get more clarification for you.
Okay, yeah. Joseph, yeah, you can private chat me later and we'll take it from there. Yeah. Okay, any other question? Okay, Sil says yes, just like bundles. Yeah, to what's to the answer you gave.
I think what it means is that Azure Fundamental Exams is the cheapest in Azure exams. Yeah, it's the cheapest, and it's something you can learn and you can go for it and pass. But there are places you should just still continue communicating with Franca. There are times they do this virtual training, and afterward they give you this code that you can use for exam for free. Once you go through the code, the lesson, Microsoft do it time, and Franca should be able to do that to you when the time comes.
Okay, yes. Joseph, you can connect with me and we could chat, we could talk. If you're looking at doing the Azure Fundamental Exam, that's the AZ 900.
900.
Yes, AZ 900. Yeah, you can connect with me and we'll take it from there. Because that's what we do. Like we work with people that like to get the certifications, yeah, the Microsoft certifications. Okay, any other questions before we call it a day? Okay, the keynote speaker sends her apologies. I think because she's based in US, and it's a time mix-up. She mixed up the timing. Yeah, I told her it was WAT West African time, but she mixed it up. So she sent her apologies. But that gave Sheyi a long time to at least to cover what he has to deliver. Sheyi, thank you very much. We appreciate you. So any more questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, if there are no more questions, tomorrow we'll have the class will start again by 3 p.m. West African time, 3 to 6 again tomorrow. And we'll be taking Power BI, we'll be taking data analytics and Power Platform. That's Power Apps. And virtual assistants tomorrow. Then on Friday, I noticed Charity is still on. Charity is one of the speakers on Friday. He'll be speaking on project management. And there'll be another speaker with her on Friday, and they'll be starting at 3 p.m. also, 3 to 6. Yeah. So it'd be nice having you all around. Please tell your friends to come on, join you tomorrow and next, because this is free and you have a lot of value for this training. You're learning a lot from this. Okay. So see you tomorrow and have a good evening. And yeah, I think everybody joining here is okay. We have people from Kenya, Zambia, yeah, okay, and Nigeria. All right. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone. And see you tomorrow. Next. Mention us to your friends. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
I thought you would put all of us on video.
Margaret, hope to hear
Thank
more
you,
from you.
Chesca.
Margaret, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you did mention you would like to do data analysis, yeah? Yeah. So
Yes.
So we'll connect with me so we can talk some more. Okay.
I will.
All right, because we run training session. Like I mentioned, this is a taster session, so we'll have training coming up on this. All right then. I hope you got my. Okay, did you get my LinkedIn? My LinkedIn, and we can connect on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn?